You drinking tea, iced tea. Looks like a shampoo
tea.
bottle.
It's shampoo.
Yucky.
It's good.
Happy?
Good. Did you push record? You
So
did?
we're on,
Oh, great. Fantastic.
Welcome, brothers and sisters. We're continuing on from our talk about demons. So we think this is going to add something extra. So we've got together this afternoon after work, and we hope you enjoy it. Now, the guys are unaware of what they're going to talk about, so it's off the cuff, which is the best way. We want something real. So the question I'm going to ask you, and I want you all to think about it, except you two guys, three of you, I want you to think about it, take your time, and be as honest and real as you can. What was it like for the three of you to grow up without Yahusha in your life? Then the next question is, when you see your parents, how they are living and what you grew up with and their search for truth in their lives. And what do you think of their search? Not what you think of them, but what you think of their search. So I want you to think about that before any of you answer. Give yourself a bit of time. And yeah.
I feel like I need a notebook so I can write all these questions down.
Yeah, it's not therapy.
Do you want to get a notebook? I don't mind.
No.
It's just growing up without Yahusha.
And your parents.
What you went through. How do you feel about that? And you look at their search for truth in their lives, because I think everybody goes on a bit of a search, and then what they did with that, and what you were subjected to, and of course how you were treated if you didn't agree. So I just want to know your story, the three of you.
Well, I had a ball growing up. Absolutely loved it. Wanted for nothing, spoilt rotten. Did everything I wanted, behaved how I wanted. Loved it until I became a teenager and things were expected of me. Standards, income, just responsibility, and I didn't want to do it. And I started to mature and realised I didn't like what life was becoming. Got a job with you guys, and you guys had a very different kind of love than I'd experienced before. And this is before we even knew Yahusha. But I was drawn to that kind of love, and so that's when it started to, I started to see my parents differently, my friends, everybody differently. And I see their search. They searched. My mother had my father had no belief, but my mother brought him into the flock, into the church, and he went really serious about it. So he was searching, and he was still searching when he came in to assemble with us. But then they stopped, and they became satisfied, didn't want to keep going. Like, we were still searching, still wasn't something right about it. And they stopped, so I just feel sorry for them. They couldn't go there, couldn't see it. I feel like Yahusha revealed it to them for a while there, and they fought it, so now they just can't see it at all. And they've just got older and older and more, a bit more batty. And
set in their ways.
Set in their ways. They've got their church, their little country club mindset where they go and do their things. And so I loved it until I became adult, and I realised it's like pull the curtain back a bit and you see, oh, this is how it really is. Like, I felt completely unprepared for life. I mean, if people told me till I till they were blue in the face. Budget and do this and do that, but I didn't feel like it. I didn't want to. I wanted to keep riding this wave of fun I was having at other people's expense. So as far as how I felt, yeah, I feel sad for them, but I had to keep going. Otherwise, I couldn't live with myself.
What do you think about your search, their search for truth?
It stopped. I feel like even when we came to a fork in the road and it was fossilised customs and all that sort of stuff, my father's like, I Googled that, man, and I spoke to all the preachers and prophets and everybody, and I said, yeah, but you only spoke to Christians about it. Of course they don't like it. You didn't get a full spectrum of, you didn't speak to Jewish Messianic, you didn't get a whole range of opinions about it. You just went to all the people you thought were reputable, who told you exactly what you wanted to know. That's wrong, so he was satisfied because he got people with letters behind their name to back up his theories, And
what happened to you for those beliefs that you had?
Hatred. They would never admit that because I'm their number one boy. They love me, but from everybody, it was pressure, hatred, persecution.
And what was that about?
Well, it was just they wanted me their way because they raised me. I'm their son. You keep doing what we do. But I couldn't because I could see a better way. I could see something different. And they kept saying, after the initial rejecting it all from them, after a while you start reasoning with them and saying, look, it's nothing personal. In fact, why don't you consider this? And they just...
What forms did the hatred take, Mark? You're just skimming, you're not going
I don't know how deep,
in there
how deep do you want to go?
As deep as you
lay
want
down on the couch.
As deep as you want to relate
I'm
it.
kind of over it. I don't really
Yeah,
want
we
to
know that therefore you can be objective, can't you?
Can't.
So what do you think about their search?
Yeah.
When they stopped? What happened to you? How you were really treated?
I think
Because
it's
we're
disgusting.
telling the brothers and sisters overseas,
Yeah.
right?
Well, I think
So
it's
they can
disgusting.
associate.
Yeah. I think it's disgusting. The fact that they're satisfied with where they stopped. I couldn't be, To go to a steeple every week and just, and get involved with all the different things I couldn't be satisfied with that. I mean, we were pretty high up in it. We did all these things almost every night of the week. We had all that stuff growing, and it was full on. And we weren't just lukewarm Christians, we were full on. If we read a book that said no alcohol, we tipped it all out. If it said no TV, we'd try and overcome everything that we thought. We were serious about our search, I feel like they just went mainstream and were satisfied with that. And
Why do you think they were satisfied with mainstream?
they wanted to maintain, this is the thing, they were happy to accept that his name was Yahusha or Yeshua, whatever they said. They were happy to accept that he had a Hebrew name, but that they can also keep calling him J-E-S-U-S. That's so that they can still mingle with the same people. And he says, come out, however long it takes you, come out, So I feel like I feel sick about it.
How would you explain it spiritually, what you saw happen to them?
Satan took them back. Yahusha opened them up, woke them up, and they just turned around and went straight back again. They listened to other family members and other relatives who had opinions about it and who were climbing the religious ladder, and they wanted that seemed more appealing to them. So yeah, at the time it was devastating. I took it very personally because I thought, how can you not see this? This is amazing. Look what we could all come into. And then as our children were born, it's like the minute children are born, everyone starts to calm down because if we keep playing like this, we're never going to see our grandkids. So they started communicating a bit more and being a bit more diplomatic. Like we just won't talk about those things. But they
So how have you felt
devastated.
because of being treated like that?
Devastated.
You're not now, though.
No, not after the last bout with my dad and everything, and then I put my tail between my legs and apologised and just made it nice for them because I thought I can't see anyway, so why have all this hatred? But he still knows, I think, underneath what I think of his choice, you know. So.
Are you afraid to say globally something wrong about your family?
No, I've said it lots of times.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm trying not to now because I think it's horrible.
What did you actually go through with them? How were you feeling? What did it do to you?
It's agony. It's agony. You know, they tell you your firstborn child's going to be cursed if you don't. But and I mean, he was. No, he wasn't. So you know, just joking. You know, like they do all that sort of stuff. They try and get you in, sisters and brothers and everybody trying to manipulate the system. And you weren't cursed, mate. It was just a bad joke. Sorry. You know? So you know, it's okay, Victor.
I think he was cursed.
Well, that's between you two.
No, it's not a personal thing. We're all cursed if we don't have Yahusha.
Oh, of course.
You know, we all are cursed.
Yeah.
The sin in us curses us.
Mm.
So, right.
Yeah, it was hideous. Devastating.
Yeah.
Yeah. Back and forward and up and down, writing letters, cutting you off, letting you back into our life, cutting you off again. They never see anything, they never apologise, they never see anything. They just blind. It's just abuse.
So what
really.
would you say happened to you by their behaviour?
Oh, I got
Spirits in high places.
what happened to me.
What happened to you inside yourself when you lay your head down on the pillow and you're by yourself and you thought about that? How did you feel about it? Because you loved them so much. I know that.
I got separated. I got
How did you feel?
devastated. Yeah. Really
And
upset.
did you carry that for long?
Years.
Years?
Yeah.
How many years would you say?
I think there was still a tiny bit of it when I was dealing with my dad and mum a month or so ago. Because they were saying stuff to the kids and that just flared up in me and I just went, oh, it's going to the next generation now, is it? No, not having that. You know, and I wouldn't speak out and then I would and I wouldn't. I was like, oh, shit. So, and I did. Went pretty much as far as I could go, telling them off, and then pulled it back and thought, what's it for? They didn't see anything anyway. So, and now it's over. I don't care.
So how many years have you been living with that agony
About
inside
15.
yourself? About 15 years.
Yeah.
But you're over it now, you feel?
Yeah, I'd rather just, they come up in July, I'd rather just love them and just...
And what was that battle like for you?
Idiots.
Who was attacking you?
Satan, constantly. When I look back, he didn't want us to progress. And we didn't really know where we were going either because we were searching. We found it now. We might get fresh things here, but it's not fresh things, foundational things. Whereas before it was, the name was changing every few months, 6 months or so, because we were searching for the, So it was hard to be reputable in a sense because we didn't look like we had it together either. And we didn't. We found it. Found him now. So, yeah. I feel fine about it now. I just try and have a nice relationship with them every so often. But I don't expect anything from them. They can't. And that's mother there.
You didn't put it on airplane mode.
I put it on airplane mode. Just wait. Yeah. Did it cancel the camera? Oh, good. Last time it cancelled the camera. Your camera's higher than ours.
Does it matter?
Doesn't matter.
Right. So, is that all you want to say?
Yeah.
All right. Who's next out of you two girls?
I'll go next.
All right.
The question. My parents were very Roman Catholic, traditional, and the tradition went back generations, and they were staunch Irish country Catholics, and it's Mass every Sunday. So we were brought up in that regime and sent to Catholic schools, so we're all indoctrinated and moulded into that system.
Yeah.
What is the system? What's expected of you?
Expected to follow our parents in every way, to in tradition of our grandparents and their forefathers, the tradition of
You're talking about religion or living?
living and religion, the whole scene. And because you're brought up in this, you only meet a certain type of person. You go to certain schools. It's all set out for you, and you don't have to.
You think you were being groomed?
Yeah.
What for?
To follow in their footsteps,
Mm.
and to do everything that they
Very tight
Felt.
family.
What did they expect of
They
you?
expected me to marry a millionaire, to marry high up in society, to, someone, that's respected, gone to the right school. My parents know their parents, know who they are. Everyone knows who's who.
Mm.
And so, just that was the system.
How did you feel about that?
And I felt like trapped. And
Like Harry and
Meghan
Meghan?
Markle.
I downloaded that today. Was it good?
I don't know.
Um,
Saw some
no.
of it, but I fell asleep last night.
And my eldest sister sort of broke out and was pretty wild, and I thought, well, she's getting free, so, there is a way to get free. We all went travelling overseas, and we thought that would help, but just, you still have to come back to the system. You still come back to where you are and who you are in the family. And the family is this big machine that
That's
has
true.
so many
You're
cousins.
associating with that?
Oh yeah. Big
So
time.
many cousins and aunties and uncles and everyone, and you all go to their parties, and it's just you're filled with the society that they want you to live in.
Mm.
And their search, I couldn't see moving from, the Pope saying what was to be done and how you to live, and the Pope changed from Latin to English and all this sort of thing in the church. And
Well, was that discussed around the table, or were they non-practicing?
no, every Sunday we can go to confession.
Wow.
Every Sunday we were, all jumped in the car and off to church every week. And
Wow.
if you missed Mass, it's a mortal sin, you go to hell.
Wow.
So,
So it was full on.
and relations were priests and nuns and all that sort of thing.
Oh.
So it was very, very staunch bred into you that you don't manoeuvre, you don't move from that, and you'll be privileged, and you'll get on in life, and you'll have a support in your life, and you'll have everything you need in your life. You don't have to really worry as long as you follow that strictness.
Mm.
So I found my parents, their search didn't really go any further, because they were in a society where they enjoyed that privilege.
Yeah.
So they didn't really want to go any further. I tried to tell my mum and dad about being born again and being a born again Christian. That was really outrageous, and reading the Bible. That was beyond, because no one ever did in the Catholic Church back then. So they just thought that I was going through a dreadful phase, but it didn't stop. And then after being Christians and having Pentecostal meetings and all that, my family saw us on TV in a show that we related what we were and how we came out, and they were all devastated and furious, and they were blaming This is after I got married, blaming Chris for influencing and controlling me, because I couldn't have done that myself.
No.
But they didn't seem to move any further. I tried to influence them, but they weren't interested at all, and just cut things off. They cut me off, didn't come to our wedding, cut us off, and I was just devastated. I just lost all personality, lost all hope, lost all feeling for life. I was just totally numb inside myself because of this rejection, to be rejected by a family that you grow up in. And there were 5 girls and there were 6 of us in the family, so it was close knit. We all got on really well and had a great time as we were growing up, but then when you started to think about life, you get rejected because you want to choose a different way. And I'd just be in tears all the time and just totally devastated. And that went on for years and years and years because I didn't know, I didn't understand about unclean spirits, I didn't understand about demons using them, and I didn't understand the spiritual activity. I could only see it physically for a long, long time. So that's how I came to, we came through, like you said, we were searching, and our journey went on and on till we found Yahusha, and that was just fantastic, and that's when I started to get free. And not until we found Yahusha I couldn't be secure in anything, and I couldn't really, I couldn't get over my parents' rejection and their hatred for anything real.
Yeah.
You know, they just, and all my brothers and sisters turned on me as well. And they turned on my husband because they blamed him for everything I was doing. So the hatred was really on him.
Yeah.
Really horrible, venting this dreadful, horrible, cruel, nasty, because he wasn't their mould. They didn't accept him as part of the family. They didn't like him. Because he wasn't in the right mould that I should have married.
Yeah.
So that was just horrible going through. That was my journey. Yahusha set us free from all that, set me free from it after many, many years of torture and torment and misery and putting Chris through a whole lot of dreadful times, and I was blaming him for not trying to get into being moulded and getting along with my family, and blaming him for so many things that it was really my decision. And what I decided to do, I was blaming him for so long, so that was horrible. Yeah, that was my journey.
Looks like it's my turn now. What can I say?
We don't know.
Roman Catholic, actually, no, not quite Roman Catholic. My father was Roman Catholic, and that's how we were brought up. Both brothers, altar boys, church every single week, sometimes twice a week, depending on whether they had altar boy service or not. My father had an accident and had cut off his thumb, and my mum was literally driving a truck because we had our own fruit stall at the South Melbourne market, and my mum was up at, Sparrows, going to bed who knows what time in the end, and trying to look after us kids, plus run a business, plus go to the hospital and visit my father and all of that sort of stuff. So during that time, we had the priest of the church where my brothers were altar boys in the school that I went to, come around to the house and start abusing my mother because we hadn't been to church. My mum just turned around and said to him, "How do you know they haven't been to church?" And he goes, "Well, they weren't at St. Francis de Sales Church at all. They haven't been for the last 2 weeks." And Mum said, "They've actually been going to church down at St. Peter's and Paul's in South Melbourne with my grandmother." I don't know if that was the truth or not, because I was younger and I don't remember the story fully, but pretty much since about then, my mum was like, "No, we only do the things that we have to do in the church." My mum was actually a United, Anglican, not Roman Catholic. So, of course, being Italian as well, first problem was my mum wasn't Italian. So my nonna and nonno disapproved of the marriage. The only reason they got married, it was a shotgun wedding, because my father had got my mother pregnant, so that was even worse back in those days. So my mum basically grew up living with hatred the whole time. As a result of the hatred from my nonna and nonno, because my brothers and myself weren't full Italian, we also got that same hatred. So it was quite difficult. My parents gave us literally everything because they didn't want. My mum was one of these, I don't want my kids to struggle like I did. So she worked her behind off to ensure that we had everything that we needed at any time. My father as well. So in that regards, life was pretty good. Holidays, or when we could have holidays, because it's very hard when you're working for yourself to be able to take holidays. So my dad would take 2 or 3 weeks off at Christmas time, just after, and of course we'd go away and camping, but it was never a go overseas or anything like that. It wasn't until I was 24 that my father ventured overseas and I got to go. Yay! That was a trip and a half. But growing up in the Catholic system was pretty hideous. Literally, we had the priest coming into our school and teaching us the Bible. But of course, it was only what they wanted us to know. There was never any of this other stuff that is actually extremely helpful that I'm learning about now and have been learning about. And it's like, well, my eyes have just been well and truly open since being immersed. Prior to that, my life was absolute hell. Going through a court system with my now ex-husband, and wouldn't want that for anybody. I certainly understand when people come into our business and say, "Oh, I've got to go through court with my ex." I feel for them. I said, "Yeah, I totally understand where you're coming from. I feel your pain. Been there, done that." So you can, in some regards, you can relate to people in that regards, but other times it's like, yeah, I can't really understand that, but you get there. As for the journey, my father walked out on the family, and it was only the fact that I turned around and gave him an ultimatum that he actually came clean and was honest. It wasn't until I rang him and said if he didn't get his butt home, I would be at his workplace in front of everybody that he knew, and I would cause the biggest scene. He was home within an hour.
He believed you, didn't he?
He did, because he knew I wasn't messing around, because my mum they'd been married 31 years, and
literally just come back from overseas in, I think it was about August, they came back. By October, he said, I'm out of here. Why? What's happened in those 2 months from the time you got back from overseas to the time you're saying you're out of here? What's going on? My first thought was, who is she? Oh, there isn't anybody else. So of course that's why I called him and asked the question. So my father's journey was put on all the airs and graces, but never actually do what you're supposed to. Same with his family. Put on all the airs and graces and never do what you're supposed to. Treat everybody the way you want to treat them, but expect them to treat you with the utmost respect and all of that. And it fell by the wayside in the end. My ex-mother-in-law said to me, you've got to mend things with your father. I tried, and I got told, it's my God-given right to walk you down the aisle, but I am not giving you any money towards your wedding. Italian tradition is the father of the bride pays for the wedding. That's Italian tradition. So for him to say that to me was like a smack in the face. And I've just gone, well, you can shove your God-given right where the sun don't shine. My brother will walk me down the aisle. My mum will do it on her own. And my mum's basically stood by me the whole time. I couldn't ask for a better mum, to be honest. And she still helps us today, without fail. You know, constantly, I'm making pizzas. Don't make school lunches for the kids. I'm making pizzas for them. Or, I've just made you 6 lasagnas. Gee, thanks, Mum. Don't even have to ask. And she just does it. She's coming down tomorrow. I've got ice cream for you. Yeah, Nan's made your ice cream. See the smile on their faces? Yeah, love the ice cream. So my mum is basically, I haven't told her about Yahusha, but she is on the journey, even though she doesn't know. We, both Mark and myself, can certainly see that Yahusha is working with her. Eventually, I will get to that conversation.
Well, that's right.
But at the moment, it's just not the right time because she's not in good health and so forth. So I'm just trying to ease it in. But she's certainly seen a completely different person with me.
Good.
So I think this journey's been certainly a eye-opener and a growing. There you go.
Wonderful. Very good. Now, next question is, do you all know, the 3 of you know that you are delivered, set free from all that?
Yes.
It doesn't bother you, you can handle it.
Yes.
It's in a process with Yahusha, the finale,
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
and you're waiting on him.
Yes.
Right. And the next question is, what do you think, now that you're delivered, it did what your families were living like? What do you think it did to your mental health? The 3 of you. Whoever wants to go first.
I'll go first.
Now
on
that you know the piece. You know?
I'll go first on this one.
Yeah.
I was the baby of the family, so I don't think I felt as mentally unstable as, say, my second oldest brother. He went off the rails and rebelled continuously, whereas I was more the goody two-shoes and didn't want to do anything wrong. I wanted to keep the peace and make them happy and all of that sort of stuff. So, in a way, I was probably a bit more shielded from it than my middle brother, whereas he just exploded. Got into drugs, got into fights, all that sort of stuff. Now in jail. So the snowball effect was more for him than it was for me. In saying that, though, when, of course, my parents split up, that was the catalyst for me. I went overseas with them, came back, had a boyfriend at the time, found out that he'd been cheating on me, tried to commit suicide. My parents came back. I'd found a job by that stage, which was great, and I was working towards, getting better and all that sort of stuff. They tried to put me on antidepressants and all of that stuff, and I just said to them, I'm not taking them. I don't need them. I just needed the rubbish out of my life, which I did, and I got better.
So what difference did Yahusha make to your sanity at that time? Is there a difference now when you weigh them up?
Well, I'll be honest, I think Yahusha was probably already starting to
Grooming you?
to talk to me and say,
Yeah, but before that, the state you were in, your mental health.
well, yeah, I was at my lowest point then.
And why do you think you went there?
Because I didn't see any other way. Because I was literally devastated.
So spirits in high places in the system you were under
Yeah,
were forcing you to the grave.
correct.
Yeah, so your sanity was...
Yeah, by that stage, yes.
Have you noticed a difference since Yahusha in your sanity?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So you've got healing.
So, as I said, I think I didn't know of Yahusha back then.
Yeah, of course.
But looking back at it now, I think he was starting to
Groom you.
get my attention. Because I actually went into a psychiatric ward for a week after I tried to commit suicide. But, you live, you learn, you do stuff.
Well, when you've got nothing to back you up like deliverance and healing and love and kindness, and you don't know about that,
Well, see,
because the church doesn't preach that, you end up in a state like you guys have ended up.
Yeah, absolutely. And I didn't have my main support person there.
Doesn't sound like you were very balanced back then.
No, that was a...
So you can see Yahusha drawing you,
Yeah.
and now you can see such a difference.
Oh, absolutely.
Right, well,
Yeah.
that's what we're looking for,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah, even, I'd say I went backwards for a bit there while I was married to my ex-husband. It was a case of everybody putting you down.
Do you see spirits in high places active in that now when you look back?
Yes,
And roll the film back?
absolutely.
Yeah, so you know what it is, you can
Walking,
put your finger on it straight away.
yeah, working through every person, just trying to kick you
Yeah.
and punch you down and, beat you until you're just to the point where I give up.
And so that's going on for many couples, many people today. It's going on in
Absolutely.
the world full time.
Oh,
Satan's in a hurry.
yeah.
People are actually talking to you in the salon about those sort of
Yeah,
experiences.
as well. Yep.
Okay, next. You finished, Dane? Sorry.
Yeah.
That was very good. Next.
I had a dreadful depression. I think looking at my life and wondering where I'm going to go, where I'm going to end up, or what I'm going to do, and I just was in this most dreadful depression, and I know it came from sin. the sin in me made me depressed, and I didn't have an answer, and I just went inside myself and just was dead inside myself. That was the mental state. Couldn't talk properly, had just had lost personality, was just desperate. And if Yahusha hadn't have saved me and delivered me from that, I just think I would have ended up dead. It was just so depressing. So I had a lot of anger, a lot of suppressed anger.
Mark knows all about that. He used to call you Hitler at work.
Yeah.
Like I could talk.
And just all the relationships I had with dealing with people, I was just aggressive and taking it out on everyone, but inside I was just in agony and the torment, and couldn't get to peace until Yahusha came and delivered me. And I just have I look back now and I just think, oh, that rage that was inside me, you know, that.
Do you remember that, Mark?
Oh.
Victoria's rage at you?
It was dreadful. I'm so sorry, Mark.
I needed it.
Well, that's a good answer.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So did I.
I was lucky I had people around that loved me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, thank you, Yahusha.
You did and you still do. Josiah and Luca love you,
Yeah.
darling. They understand what you've been through.
Mm.
So Daddy's next. That was lovely, darling. Thank
That's
you.
all right.
Very
Well,
well
speaking
done.
of the salon, they used to call me 𝗪𝗜𝗏𝗧𝗏𝗏𝗧 in the salon because I used to talk to myself. 𝗪𝗜𝗏𝗧𝗏𝗏𝗧 was a famous pianist who was in the mental ward because he talked to himself all the time. So I used to always talk to myself, tell myself jokes. If someone else was talking to me, I'd just like...
Still does, doesn't it? David's still hanging
this
around
dialogue with
sometimes.
myself. And it wasn't until many years later I realised I'm just talking to demons. You're having this dialogue with yourself.
Oh.
So I was nuts in the salon, and I was just addicted to anything and everything. I was addicted to being famous, addicted to music, addicted to raging, going out in cars, smashing cars up. I became a teenager at the dawn of the internet, so I was addicted to pornography. I was addicted to anything and everything. I was mad, completely nuts. And I can see, like you all said, even before we knew Yahusha, I started to be calmed down. I didn't get into any of the hard drugs or anything like that, but I was just raging all the time, just out wanting fun, entertainment, addicted to life, and just, it was more of a religious life, but it was still stupid when I look back. And I'm going to be famous, you know, like finishing school, and they're like, it's time to talk about a serious career. I've got one, I'm going to be a pop star. It's like, you're an idiot, you know, you can't even sing. Like, just totally deluded, you know, like.
Well, you can now, and you're famous.
Oh, yeah,
You are.
Yeah.
Globally,
Like
lots of people know about
together,
you.
but anyway, like I was just mad.
Yahusha's lifted you up.
Yeah, went into a marriage, no idea how to be a man or a husband or cook anything, fix anything, you know, budget anything. But I didn't know a thing. She didn't know anything either. So we were just idiots together in the beginning, wasting money. And anyway, through that process of coming into Yahusha, I've been delivered. And I notice sometimes if I have a day where I'm by myself, like there's no one around, I'll start talking to myself a bit, like sometimes, like if you're hammering, you're talking to yourself, you're having this aggression to yourself, and you just think, but it's worse than if other people are around, and you just think they're still there. You gotta just keep them away, you know, like. And if I'm away from my wife, you know, other temptations comes. The usually gives you a wife for a reason, you know, like you just think it's demons don't go away, they don't change.
No.
But through the deliverance, you've got the power to say no. So it's I don't know if that answered the question. But
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course you did.
there's been a big deliverance, big
Yeah.
change.
Yeah,
Yeah.
your mental health.
Yeah,
That's what it was about. You can see the difference
Mm.
between the insanity you were living
Yeah,
to
it's
now
nuts.
the peace with Yahusha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
And getting order
Mm.
in your life and chaos out of your family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I find some days if I've sort of at a loose end or I'm feeling a bit chaotic in my mind, Yahusha will say, well, go to your next chapter. Go to the Word. You know, and then through just doing that, I mean, I'm fortunate in that aspect because I don't just have to pick any random verse. I'm just going through it. And he says, just go start to the next one then.
Mm.
See how far you get until you're interrupted, or see how far you get until next client, or see how far. But through just doing that, you forget about all the other, whatever you were dwelling on. So in that aspect, he's given me something to do that keeps me sane. So yeah, it's just his word, which is great.
So you can see the movement of evil spirits in your family through the systems they'd adopted of belief and in their homes. And if you went against those systems, you were abused.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to say too.
Yeah.
There was no truth as far as how do you put it? Like, my dad really didn't have a dad, so his dad was a lot older, like he was like the age of a granddad, so he died a lot earlier. So he really didn't have much, didn't know how to communicate, didn't tell us anything about anything. Anything you went through as a child or as a teenager, when you're getting hormones, anything you went through was just normal. You know, it's great, no, whatever. And then when you're married, like, you didn't, no advice, didn't know how, that's the old school men, you know, didn't know how to communicate about anything like that, you know. So I've tried to be the opposite with the guys, just like it's an open dialogue, like just like, so they know that you can talk about sort of stuff, you know, there's no judgment here. We've all been through it. Because, you know, I'd gone 28 years, 26 years before I got married, and the night before my wedding, he pulls me aside and goes, oh, this is where you put it. I'm like, oh, thanks, Dad. Thanks, great. You think I don't know that by the time I'm 28? You know, like, it's like it's a formal thing. You have to tell your dad, you have to tell your son what to do, like 28 years later. It's like it's real old school. Like, they don't know how to communicate.
No.
So rather than being angry, I just thought he doesn't know how to communicate.
Well, when you look at unclean spirits, what are they doing? What did they do to your family?
Oh,
Bound them up.
split it up completely.
They could have searched more like we did,
Yeah.
but they made their own choices.
Yeah, it was devastating because they were all musicians too. And I kept thinking for years, oh, if you come into this, what we could be doing, you know, like. But they were the opposite. You come back here, so we can have the big band church thing that we used to have. Because I'm just thinking, oh, what could we do with Yahusha with all these talents?
Yeah.
But Yahusha had other plans. So
Well, you might have it again here.
it's not the plan you often think, though.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's real. You've got to go through a deep valley first.
that's what he wants.
And that's what I've seen with all the men in Scripture and women in Scripture. That you go through a real trial. You've got to die.
Well, you have to pass the test. That's what if you want him.
Yeah.
You don't let go. You go through whatever you have to go through
Yeah.
until you find what you want in him.
Yeah.
And, you know, we've talked about his presence in us, how marvellous it is, how wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we want to feel alive, but he's not going to give us favour unless we come into the behaviour.
Yeah. 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 They took it very personally that you don't. We were just after the love. We were all starting to come into this love.
It's a different love
and it's
with
open for
Yahusha,
anybody.
isn't it?
Yeah. But they just saw it as natural. Oh, you like them better as your parents than us, and it's all very base level stuff, jealousy and stuff. It's like, come into it.
And where's that coming
Spirits.
from?
Spirits.
And that's what you have to understand. The sin is passed on from generation to generation.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's up to us to figure it out and come out of it, which we can't do without the spirit of Yahusha in us.
Yeah.
and reading and applying His Word into our life, and we won't go through all that.
Mm.
Now, you've had a whole life now where you've just come out and you can see.
Yeah.
You know?
Second chance.
Yeah, well, it's not a second chance, it's His purpose.
Yeah.
He wanted you to go through all that. It's all an experience, so you know Him.
Yeah.
And you won't let go of Him because He's been faithful to you. Even 𝗪𝗓 said she could feel Yahusha calling her and talking to her about things.
Yeah.
And she knows now that she's conscious and been immersed and got His Spirit, oh, that was you, Father. And she felt safe and felt lifted up and built up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is what life is like in the flesh. It will never stop because spirits want to control us and live their life through us and make us a shame before Yahusha.
Yeah.
But He looks through that and sees the heart.
Mm.
Yeah. He wipes the pain and the tears away, all the sin. As far as the east is to the west, they're gone. You don't have to carry those things now.
Mm.
So you made a choice to step out of the world with its rules and laws and ways and adopt the Torah. And when you do that, there's no law against you. All right? So can you give your microphone to Luca? I'll give mine to 𝗪𝗧𝗖𝗛 because he can reach there. Now we come to you guys. And we're just going to ask you.
Is this hole where is it? That'll do, it's fine there.
We're just going to ask you, what do you think of this? You already know my life story, I've told you, so you know mine. And I was insane too, like them. So the four of us were insane. What do you think, after everything we've been through, all the studies we've been through, what do you think of what they've gone through? Sitting here tonight, you know? Don't help them.
Not.
They've got voices. When you hear these stories, what do you think about what everyone's been through?
It's horrible.
Did it affect you? What affected you? Which one affected you? Or you want to say something about anything? How do you feel about what your dad went through? Growing up without Yahusha, how do you feel about that? What would that be like? You heard that everyone was insane.
Pretty miserable.
Yeah.
Mm.
Would you like to go through that?
No.
Are you going to go through that? You have to fight, brother. What do you feel? Seeing Dad and 𝗪𝗓 and Victor and me, what we've been through in life, what do you think about that?
I didn't know a lot of it before, so
Yeah.
You did?
I didn't. I knew a little bit, but
You're going to have to speak
A lot
up
of
because
that
you got the
was-
flu.
very new to me.
So what do you think about the suffering they went through because of not knowing the truth and listening to unclean spirits and going that way? What did they suffer? When you hear their story. Does it sound nice to you?
No.
How does it sound to you?
Yeah. like seemed very different back then and horrible.
Yeah. Horrible. How do you feel about hearing what your dad went through in his life?
Like I said, it was very new to me. I didn't know a lot of it, but
Yeah.
and
So now you hear it, what do you think?
yeah,
Because you've had the experience of it.
Glad you didn't have to go through it.
yeah,
You like this life better?
yeah.
And the knowledge you've got, you want to go walk the way of the world. Everyone in the world's going through all this. So when you guys go out in the world, get jobs, you're going to have people going through all this sort of stuff and they don't even know about unclean spirits. Wow.
The main thing I felt growing up was no one ever spoke the truth or any depths of conversation. It was all just surface. Keep the peace, don't say anything out of order, don't upset anyone. You just got to keep on that level. Everything's hidden, suppressed. You're not allowed to open up and have any opinion different. No truth or no conversation that was of had any depth. That's when I met Chris, he said he was looking for the truth, and I thought, yeah, I'm looking for the truth. And we had these amazing, be up all night talking about one topic, one word. And that was just so different to me. I found it really hard to open up because I'd never spoken the truth.
When you look at us, do you think we're completely over our hurts?
Yeah.
You sure? All of us are over our hurts? You don't see anything that's, oh, they're still hurt, or oh, they're still upset when topics come up?
I think so.
That's good.
You went down there and visited them all. You see the difference now that you're teenagers,
Yeah.
becoming men, with different eyes after you've been immersed. You feel the difference?
Yeah.
What can you put into words? What the difference is?
Yeah. It's
Family, relatives, all of them, they all believe the similar things. What's the feeling like?
it's very hectic and
Hectic?
his Pa is just, he seems all mad all the time. I don't know. Well, when I went down that last time, he seemed very just disgusted and towards us for some reason.
You didn't feel welcome?
No.
Well, it wasn't because of you. It was because of me. Because of spirit. Because he knows now that you know the truth.
Yeah.
The spirits know. Well, you're starting to see this now through your own eyes. That's what I wanted you to see. It can't be just because I believe it. You got to believe it. It's going to be your walk. So it's different to us because we had to fight to come out of it. You were raised in it. And then your mother chose to go out of it, the opposite. So then you could have easily chosen one or the other.
A lot of confusion for them,
Yeah.
having all this at them, which is right, which is wrong.
Yeah. And not only, see, in the world you can believe whatever you want. You could be a Buddhist or a Hindu and no one will judge you, whatever. But when you come into this, because it's actually the one truth, all the relatives don't just accept you as being a different religion. They'll tell you they're weirdos up there. They're manipulating. They're a cult. They're this. They're that. That's how you know. Because you can be any religion in the world you want. How come we can't be ours? How come why is there so much hatred for us? That's how you know it's the truth. Because Satan doesn't care about all the other religions. He's got them already.
You want to walk that walk that we've all walked? You want to keep yourself together.
Keep together.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay, well, That's
Exciting,
great.
Mm.
Thank you, brothers and sisters. We've really enjoyed being together, and we hope this is a help to everybody. Love you. Say bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.